So I've been thinking a lot about The Running Man since I saw it on Saturday, and you mentioned that I would love the short story, and I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I have been reading about the short story and what Stephen King's original story was about and how it was adapted into the version from the 80s, and then again how it was adapted into the 2025 version with Edgar Wright. Shout out Edgar Wright. While there's a lot of nuance between the three different versions, I think that what I said to you, what I texted you, like I really enjoyed the movie, and I think the people that really need to see it, those people are never going to see it, and even if they did, those people wouldn't actually get it. And that probably sounds more condescending than I mean it to be, although nowadays, who fucking knows? I don't know, man. But I am interested in reading Stephen King's original version of this story. But again, like I said, I had looked up a couple of things about it just to better understand, and I didn't even realize that the original Stephen King version was set in the year 2025, which is this year, which is amazing, and I'm sure it's done intentionally. But it's amazing to really think about how this grand story about how this dystopian future where poverty is widespread, yet there are these elites who use multimedia, and I guess originally it was television. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but I guess originally it was TV. And this particular movie, it was really just like modern media overall. And not to give spoilers, but they really did tie in the TV, which makes a lot more sense nowadays with the Kardashians. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the Kardashians played a big role, or the Kardashians played a big role in the new movie. But just this general understanding, this general idea that there is going to be this widespread poverty, in the year 2025. And while it may not be like as overtly obvious as the movie or the novel would make you think that it would look like, it's clear that a lot of the parallels between what Stephen King initially wrote about, a lot of that has come true in our modern day world today. We live in this internet focused, what used to be 24-hour, now is becoming really 24-minute news cycle of just constantly feeding bullshit into our fucking eyeballs as a way to entertain ourselves to goddamn death, while very, very few people actually earn. Sorry, I got distracted. I'm watching my neighbor across the hall swat at wasps, or those paper wasp or whatever, that are just all over the complex. They're absolutely all over the complex. Anyway, I forgot where I was, but we live in this modern day, what used to be 24-hour, which is really becoming like a 24-minute news cycle. That's where I was. That's where I was. That's why that line's in my head. Anyways, and it's just crazy. This. Well, I haven't seen Squid Game. I would imagine that the parallels between people putting themselves in harm's way because they're so stricken by poverty, or stricken by not being able to afford medicine for their child or food for their family, and they have to put themselves in harm's way for the entertainment of the elite, or the entertainment of the masses. It's not the way human beings should live, but Stephen King so clearly saw that that was the direction that we're going. Look at the Mr. Beast of the world, and not to talk shit about Mr. Beast. I don't know the guy, obviously, but it's that style of just throwing money at people who are down on their luck, or who don't have the means to be able to connect the dots in their lives to be able to do the things that they want to do, and so they have to subjugate themselves to humiliation, or to putting themselves at the whim of other people's entertainment, or their satisfaction, or whatever it takes, just to be able to put yourselves in a position to live a life that you think is worthy enough to live, when we all deserve a life worthy enough to live. And the ending of this movie, I'm not going to spoil, but the ending of the movie, I feel, is another contentious part when I look at like general reviews. Again, I don't really care too much about reviews in general. I think everybody should kind of go in with their own thoughts, and experience the work of art however it needs to be experienced for you. But reviews can generally help you guide and understand your own thought process. But I look at some of these reviews, and it feels like the ending of this particular movie, the 2025 version, the Edgar Wright version, really rubbed some people the wrong way, and I don't know. I just don't see the problem with it. I'll be honest. I don't really see the problem with it. You know, I think that there is a lot to be said about giving in to the beast that they want you to be in order to be a martyr is not the right word, but in order to be a beacon of hope for people. You know, if they want to turn you into a monster, sometimes it's okay to be that monster just to fuck shit up. You know what I mean? I think we need some of that in our world today. I think that we're all just a little bit too scared to step out of the status quo and to be a beacon of hope, to come out from the shadows and to stick your finger up and say fuck you, but actually do it in a way that is meaningful. And you know, it's one way to just it's easy to do this, you know, on social media. Like it's easy to do that, but like to actually stand firm 10 toes deep in the real world and to consistently show up like that every single day. You know, I think that that's something that's hard for a large group of people to do. And I think that you know, unlike times when we had, you know, a Malcolm X or a Martin Luther King, you know, it's hard to have that one unified voice because we're all so isolated, we're all so siloed, which seems to be a theme of shit that we talk about with each other here. We're all so isolated and siloed, and we're all stuck in our own little social media bubbles that it's impossible to have a unified voice among the group. But I think the tide is changing. I think that is changing just a little bit, and I'm not sure if it's going to change in our lifetime. That's a conversation I was having with Taylor today. You know, I think that there is a lot of change coming for us as people, as humans, as for humanity, for America, for the world. I think that there is a lot of change coming, but I don't know how much of it we're going to see in our lifetime. If I'm going to be honest with you, I think that the chapter of our lifetime is pretty much written, and this is the part where, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 generations from now, they're gonna look back and say the reason why we're here is because of how awful shit was back then, and we just so happened to be in a time where shit's just fucking awful. Anyway, I'm gonna go for a walk now. Bye.